Collective, hello, my loves. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Collective, I was just like meditating before I did your read, and it was just like the ocean at dusk, like when you can hear the tide coming in, and there's just like little scuttles of crabs everywhere. And the air is heavy, but it's cool. I mean, it was just like such a peaceful feeling. And I love that. So we have the king in the empty room, the vessel, the poet, and the medallion. Well, I mean, the empty room, I always think of the Jessie Reyez song, Who Am I When No One's in the Room? Like, who am I when no one's telling me who I have to be or why I have to be it or how I have to be it or whatever the fuck else they're on some shit about. You know what I mean? Because all the world is on some shit and all the world will always be ready to tell us what we should do or why we should do it or how we should do it. But, the king is the one who ultimately makes the decision. And I just kind of feel like there's this sense of I want to say the quiet before this storm, because I feel like for some people, whatever decision it is that you're making, like it causes a bit of a storm. you know I don't know. That might not be true for everyone. It could just be that there's an internal storm that you're dealing with and you have to quiet the storm because you've spent too much time. I do think that a lot of us have wrestled with the emotion of waste, wasting our time, wasting our energy, wasting our experiences, just a lot of waste. And I feel like kind of going through it all, trying to figure out like if there's even anything that we can take with us. Because it does feel like this dump of information that people just wanted to like dump this information on you, and you had to like sort through it all, and again, I just feel like this, like sorting through the information, or if it's like a trial, and you had to listen to all of the sides of the story, and then you had to like make your judgment. The judge isn't here, but it feels kind of like the king is the judge. Like the king needed to step back. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if it's anything that you're involved in because it does feel very detached. I mean, like, and I think that that's part of the reason that society has structured itself the way that it has, is because it takes disconnect and it disconnects it some more and disconnects it some more and disconnects it some more until people are so disconnected that they've lost sight of just like human connection. You know what I mean? And I almost feel like is there a means to break the disconnect? Well, and poetry is exactly that, right? It's the expression of the human experience. I love poetry, and I do feel like almost like an echo chamber of human experience. And I think for a lot of people, a recognition that like their echo chambers are very hollow and very easily blown into oblivion. Um, let's do clarifiers. I don't know. I never know what to expect. Because, where's the ocean? I guess the empty room would be like that ocean that cleansing of all of the, like the extra. That's why grounding in nature is so important. Like, can't even lie. Um, there is something very cleansing about it. Well, just to take it down into like the basic fundamentals of it, all of the, electrons and nutrients that the earth holds, we gain vitamins from the sun, from the air, from the water, from the earth, just basic human physiology. It demands that we do that. Even something like the shoes. I don't know. Somebody told me one time, like in the theories of all the ways that we've been disconnected, they were talking about shoes and the invention of the rubber sole, and how rubber is the material that blocks our connection with the electromagnetic field of the earth, and so it disconnects us from the earth. So, even as recently as the invention of tennis shoes, our level of disconnection has expanded. And I don't think that we're always conscious of all the ways that we have actively been disconnected. And the deeper in we get into the age of technology, the deeper in we get to that disconnection. I think that's why there's such a call for connection. And I think that whatever it was that was breaking, I feel like that's what's breaking, right? Those echo chambers. Those echo chambers have no sustainability. Those echo chambers have no meat. I don't know, because it's something, I don't even remember what those things are called though, but like those, like the art that you sell, it's like an NFP or something like that, but it's not even like real. Like, you can't hang it on your wall. You can't do anything with it, like it's like a digital I guess you could print it. I don't know, but like it's not real. And there's a lot of argument over like the value that those things hold. And I personally am of a mentality that they don't hold any value. It's kind of like our currency. We have a fiat currency. They say what value it holds, but there's nothing backing its value, and it's collapsing, right? I feel like the collapsing of the echo chambers, because there's connection to be had. I mean, the Three of Cups, that's celebration, that's community, that's engaging and being present in life, rather than existing in the echo chambers of the nothings. And I think that there's been a call to do that, because I just feel like this go outside and play, like, depending on where you live in the world, sometimes you have to go a little bit earlier, a little bit later, but like, still just like being out in the world, still like being out and present for the opportunities as they present themselves, because I just feel like we've existed in an echo chamber. And that's how they get away with it. Like, even politically, like all of the, like, what the Epstein files didn't exist, and there's no list and all of this other shit. And, we all know why. We all know why Diddy made it off for sex trafficking. We all know why Epstein files don't exist. You know what I mean? And it's almost just kind of like those echo chambers of reality are what is really just being called into question. And thank God, because those echo chambers echo lies. They echo the loopholes that allow people to get away with such shitty behavior. Yeah. Yeah, I really do, though. I really do feel like there's just this, like, echo chambers no more. Like, there's so much to do. There's so much to experience. There's so much to accomplish, to create, to achieve. And we don't achieve anything through echo chambers. We achieve it through connection. I think that's also another reason why there's so much, like negative media around the idea of protests, because people are actually coming together. And it's really hard to misconstrue community when it doesn't exist in an echo chamber, right? First world communities, first world problems, death, 10 of Cups, High Priestess, yeah. But again, I just feel like the end of echo chambers, the end of, I feel like a full-fledged war against disconnection, like a full-fledged war against that, because that is such a heart of an issue that we face as a society. And how difficult is it for us to really feel connected and to really feel whole when we're always being spread out down the chambers of echoes of lies. That's not where our power lies. That's not where our influence holds any power, you know. And they steal from you the things that they know give you your power, right? So I got this. Nancy said, you should work with this deck. It's very old. It's Gypsy Witch fortune telling playing cards. So I'm going to incorporate that today. I've never even looked at it before, but I was like, I want to do it. Okay, so we're going to try it out, see how it goes. I don't know. The 10 of Diamonds. The Sith presages disappointment and when near the coffin, early death. Well, I feel like that's basically the death and the tower and the 10 of swords, right? Just like this end of things that prevent any real accountability. I mean, that's the point of the echo chambers too, is that there's no accountability in the echo chamber. How does anybody hold anybody accountable for saying there's no list? There's no list that they already had spoken on. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, in all of the pictures and all of the media and all of the things where they're all hobnobbing, you're just kind of like, and the parties that they throw and the people that attend, and you're just kind of like it's so belligerent and blatant, and then they echo chamber out a reality to the people that the people know is absolute, like an absolute farce. That is an absolute lie. That is an absolute fabrication. That is belligerent and abusive in the way that it so quickly dismisses the fact that our children are being taken regularly. That people are dressing up as ICE agents and kidnapping children. Why? Because they can get away with it. Echo chambers of lies. And it's so vital that we connect as humans, lest we be lost in the lies. The orphan. Yes, because when we abandon ourselves to an idea that we are not willing, deserving, or capable of holding community, true community, we get lost in those echo chambers, right? And it's only when we start to really ground ourselves in our lives, ground ourselves in our realities, connect with our neighbors, connect with our coworkers and our friends, and really start to build community, that we have a sense of what that community needs and what will feed that community. You know what I mean? But again, I just feel like there's been a disconnect. There's been an abandonment of connection, like culturally across. Well, I don't know. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're from Nigeria, and they were talking about how disconnected everybody is, and one of their thoughts was that they have markets where they go and they get fresh food and fresh vegetables, and they go every night, and then they make their dinner, but when they go, they see their neighbors and their family, and they communicate, and they engage, and something that they noticed here is that people don't speak, and they're very cut off and just like rude to each other even, and just like how like painful of a culture shock that was to experience. And it's true. It's very true. And when you're not accustomed to that, it can be a culture shock. I don't know. I always grew up in small towns, so everybody knows everybody. You know what I mean? It like you connect with people all of the time. I think that's part of the reason that cities are so, because you are just surrounded by energy that is disconnected, fragmented, and chaotic. And it's like overwhelming. Like, send me back into nature. But I know I'm not alone in feeling that. And I know that this doesn't really feel like it's been that great of an experience, but I think that it's an experience that's going to be really beautiful, when we start to really engage in that and allow for that to be our reality, rather than the reality of the echo chambers, just like deafening us from our humanity. Because, wow. All right, collective. If this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and sharing your energy with me. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.